The sandwich cost her everything, but it gave him a future worth $47 million. No one noticed when it happened. No cameras. No applause. No one cheering for a little girl who quietly made a choice that would echo for decades. She was 9 years old, black, small for her age, hair tied with a faded red ribbon her grandmother had saved from an old dress. Her name was Victoria Hayes. And the boy on the other side of the fence was dying. Chicago, 22 years ago. Winter came early that year. The kind of cold that crept into your bones and stayed there. The kind that made metal fences burn your skin if you touched them too long. Lincoln Elementary School sat on the corner of a cracked sidewalk and a rusted chain-link fence. Paint peeled from the brick walls. Windows rattled when the wind howled off Lake Michigan. Inside, kids laughed. Outside, a boy sat hunched against the fence. He was white, maybe 10 years old, wearing a hoodie 2 sizes too big, sleeves frayed, fabric thin as paper. His shoes were broken at the toes. His hands shook, not from fear, but from hunger. His name was Isaiah Mitchell. No one knew that yet. They just knew he didn't belong. Day 1. Lunch bell rang. Kids poured into the yard, opening lunchboxes, trading snacks, complaining about apples instead of cookies. Victoria sat with her friends near the swings. "Why you staring like that?" Jasmine asked, biting into her sandwich. Victoria didn't answer. She was looking through the fence. The boy was there again. He'd been there all week, always during lunch, always sitting, always watching. "Girl, that's creepy," Jasmine said. "My cousin said he's homeless." Victoria frowned. "He's not creepy. He's weird. He's hungry." Jasmine rolled her eyes. "That's not our problem." Victoria looked down at her lunchbox. Inside was a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, 1 apple, and a small juice box. That was it. Her only food until dinner. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her head. "Baby, we may not have much, but we always share what we got." Victoria stood up. "Where you going?" Jasmine asked. Victoria didn't answer. She walked to the fence. The fence. Up close, the boy looked worse. His lips were cracked, his eyes sunken, his skin pale, stretched too tight over his face. He tried to stand when he saw her. His legs gave out. Victoria's chest hurt. "Hi," she said softly. He swallowed, tried to speak. Nothing came out. "You hungry?" she asked. He nodded. Victoria opened her lunchbox and slid it through the fence. "Take it." The boy stared at it like it wasn't real. "You sure?" he whispered. She nodded. "It's okay." He grabbed the sandwich with shaking hands and ate it in 4 bites. Tears ran down his face as he chewed. Victoria watched silently as he ate everything. The apple, the juice, even the crackers. When he finished, he looked at her like she'd just saved his life. Because she had. "Thank you," he said, voice breaking. "What's your name?" she asked. "Isaiah." "I'm Victoria." The bell rang. Victoria ran back to class. Isaiah stayed there, holding the empty juice box like it was treasure. Day 2. Victoria packed her lunch carefully. Her grandmother noticed. "You hungry already, babies?" "No, ma'am," Victoria said. Her grandmother paused, then added another sandwich without a word. At recess, Victoria walked straight to the fence. Isaiah was waiting. "You came back," he said. "I promised." That day she didn't eat. 6 months. She came back every day. Rain, snow, freezing wind. Sometimes Isaiah was too weak to stand. Sometimes he shook so hard he spilled the soup Victoria brought in a thermos her grandmother wrapped in towels. Other kids noticed. "Why you feeding him?" they asked. "Because he's hungry." Teachers noticed. One almost reported it. Then she looked at Isaiah, really looked, and turned away. By winter, Isaiah had no gloves. Victoria gave him hers. "No," he said, "you'll be cold." "I got another pair," she lied. She didn't. She shivered through recess for 2 months. When Isaiah got sick, really sick, Victoria's grandmother came to the fence with medicine they couldn't afford to spare. "Drink," she told him gently. Isaiah lived. The promise. The last day came without warning. Foster care finally found Isaiah. Victoria knew before he did. She brought everything she could carry. Sandwiches, cookies, fruit, crackers. Isaiah cried when she told him she wouldn't be there tomorrow. "I'll come back," he said desperately. "You don't know where I'll be. I'll find you." She smiled and untied the red ribbon from her hair. She tore it in half, tied one piece around his wrist. "So you don't forget me." "I won't," he said. "I'll marry you when I'm rich." She laughed. "You better." Then he was gone. 22 years later. Isaiah Mitchell woke up at 6:00 a.m. in a penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Italian espresso machine worth $7,000. Closet full of tailored suits. None of it mattered. He opened a drawer. Inside was a small glass frame. A faded red ribbon. The only thing he'd kept from childhood. "Where are you?" he whispered. He'd been asking that for 22 years. "Tonight," Isaiah's assistant texted. Community meeting, 7:00 p.m. South Chicago Community Center. Isaiah stared at the message. Something felt different. He typed back, "I'll attend personally." He didn't know why. But somewhere, a woman was tying a familiar ribbon into a locket. And the past was about to come crashing into the present. Isaiah Mitchell hated community meetings. They were always the same. Plastic chairs, fluorescent lights, polite applause, people smiling too hard, hoping he'd donate more money than last year. He usually sent someone else. But tonight, something dragged him here. A feeling he couldn't name. South Chicago Community Center. The building smelled like old books and fresh coffee. Paint peeled from the walls, but someone had tried to brighten it with posters. Education is freedom. Feed a child, change a future. Isaiah stopped walking. His chest tightened. That second poster felt like it was staring straight at him. "You okay, sir?" his assistant asked quietly. Isaiah nodded. "Yeah, just memories." They entered the main hall. About 100 people sat scattered across folding chairs, mostly black families, single mothers, teenagers with tired eyes, elderly men leaning on canes. Isaiah took his seat in the front row. That's when he saw her. Victoria Hayes. She stood near the back, organizing papers, her hair pulled into a neat bun. She wore a simple navy dress and scuffed flats. No jewelry, except a small silver locket resting against her collarbone. She laughed softly at something a little girl said. And Isaiah's world tilted. Not because she was beautiful, though she was, but because something in her felt familiar. Her posture, the way she tilted her head when listening, that quiet strength in her eyes. His heart started pounding. No, don't be stupid, he told himself. 22 years. Millions of people. Impossible odds. Still, he couldn't look away. The meeting begins. A local councilman spoke first, then a school principal. Then Isaiah's name was announced. Please welcome philanthropist and tech entrepreneur, Mr. Isaiah Mitchell. Polite applause filled the room. Isaiah stood and approached the podium. He looked out over the crowd, and his eyes found hers. Victoria froze. She hadn't expected him to come in person. She'd only seen his face on news articles and banners. She swallowed hard. Why does he look like? No, that was ridiculous. The boy from the fence would be nothing like this man. Right, Isaiah speaks. I grew up not far from here, Isaiah began, his voice steady. I know what it's like to feel invisible, to feel forgotten. People nodded. I wouldn't be standing here today without kindness, without someone choosing to see me when they didn't have to. His gaze drifted back to Victoria. She felt suddenly warm, unsteady. This center, Isaiah continued, is exactly the kind of place that saves lives. I'm honored to support it. Applause again. Isaiah stepped down, but he didn't sit. He walked straight toward the back of the room. Toward her. First words. Victoria felt her throat tighten as he approached. Ms. Hayes, Isaiah said. Her name landed like a punch to the chest. Yes, she answered. I'm Isaiah. She smiled politely. Of course, welcome, thank you for coming. He studied her face carefully. The curve of her smile. The warmth in her eyes. Still not sure. Do you work here? He asked. I run the food assistance program, she said. We serve about 300 families a week. He nodded slowly. That's incredible. Something clinked softly as she shifted. His eyes dropped to her locket. Silver, worn. His breath caught. I'm sorry, he said quickly. That necklace, does it mean something? Her hand instinctively went to it. Yes, she said, it's from my childhood. Isaiah's pulse thundered in his ears. What's inside? He asked, barely above a whisper. Victoria hesitated. Then slowly, she opened it. Inside was a faded red ribbon, neatly folded. The world stopped. The ribbon. Isaiah stared at it. His knees felt weak. His voice cracked. He swallowed hard. Where did you get that? Victoria looked up, confused by his reaction. A boy I used to know, she said, a long time ago. His hands shook. Did you go to Lincoln Elementary? Her eyes widened. Yes, how did you? And there was a fence, Isaiah said quickly, rusty, cold chain link. Her breath caught. And you used to bring lunch, he continued, tears forming now, even when you didn't have enough. Victoria stared at him. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Isaiah, she whispered. He nodded. Tears spilled down his face. It's me. Recognition. Victoria covered her mouth. Oh my God, she breathed. People around them turned to stare. Isaiah didn't care. He pulled out his wallet with trembling fingers. Opened a hidden slot. Inside, another piece of the same red ribbon, frayed but treasured. I kept it, he said hoarsely, every single day. Victoria's knees buckled. He caught her just in time. I thought I'd never see you again, she cried. I looked, he said, I swear I did, but records, names, everything disappeared. She nodded. My grandmother passed, we moved, life just kept going. They stood there, holding each other, surrounded by strangers who didn't understand they were witnessing destiny finally catching up. Coffee that changed everything. They sat together afterward in the empty hall. 2 cups of bad coffee, 2 shaking hands. You saved my life, Isaiah said quietly. Victoria shook her head. I just shared my lunch. No, he said firmly, you shared hope when I had none. She smiled sadly. I always wondered what happened to you. I bounced through foster homes, he said, some bad, some worse, but I remembered you every time I wanted to quit. He paused. When I was 14, I stole a computer from a school lab, he admitted. Got caught. Judge gave me one chance. Probation, community service. That's when I learned to code, he continued. By 22, I sold my first startup. Victoria stared at him. You promised, she said softly. He laughed through tears. Yeah, I guess I did. The offer. Isaiah took a breath. I want to help, he said. You already do, Victoria replied. Your donations. No, he interrupted. I mean really help, you, this place, everyone. She hesitated. I don't want charity, she said carefully. Neither did I, he replied. I want partnership. He slid a folder across the table. What's this? She asked. A proposal, he said. A foundation run by you, fully funded, no limits. Victoria opened it. Her eyes widened. The numbers were unreal. This is too much, she whispered. Isaiah leaned forward. It's still not enough, he said. The distance. But something shifted after that night. Isaiah called, texted, visited the center. People whispered, why's he always here? She must be special. Must be nice. Victoria felt it. The judgment. The assumptions. One evening, she finally said it. They think I'm using you, she said quietly. Isaiah frowned. Who cares what they think? I care, she replied, because I worked my whole life for this. I don't want it questioned. He nodded slowly. I get it, he said. I'll step back. That hurt more than she expected. Old wounds. Weeks passed. Then months. Isaiah focused on work. Victoria focused on the center. They missed each other terribly, but neither wanted to cross the line. Until the letter arrived. The letter. The city announced budget cuts. The community center would close in 30 days. Victoria sat alone in her office, staring at the notice. She didn't call Isaiah. She didn't want to. But she had no choice. That night, Isaiah stood in the doorway, silent and furious. Why didn't you tell me? He demanded. Because I didn't want to be saved again, she said, tears falling. He softened. You don't have to be saved, he said gently. Just let me stand beside you. She looked at him. Really looked. And for the first time in 22 years, she nodded. The kiss that waited 22 years. They stood under the broken streetlight outside the center. Same cold wind. Same neighborhood. Different lives. Isaiah brushed a tear from her cheek. I meant it, he said. Every word. I'll marry you when I'm rich. She laughed through tears. You're late. He smiled, then let me make it right. He leaned in. Slow, careful. Their lips met. Not fireworks. Something deeper. Like coming home. The backlash came faster than either of them expected. It always does when poor people start winning. The rumors. It started quietly. A whisper here. A comment there. Of course, she knows him. That's how she got the money. Nothing is free in this world. Then it grew teeth. A local blog ran a headline. Tech Millionaire funds center run by childhood friend. Another followed. Inside, Isaiah Mitchell's secret relationship. Photos of Isaiah and Victoria, laughing, walking, standing too close, circulated everywhere. The comments were brutal. She planned this. Gold digger. Funny how charity always finds its way back home. Victoria stopped reading after someone wrote. She probably fed him on purpose, knowing he'd be rich one day. She sat in her office, hands shaking. Isaiah stormed in an hour later. "This ends now," he said, furious. "I'll shut them all up." "No," Victoria replied softly. He froze. "No," he repeated. "I won't let you bulldoze this with money," she said. "Not this time. They're destroying you." She looked up at him, eyes steady. "They don't know me," she said, "and they don't know you. Truth doesn't need defending, it needs time." Isaiah exhaled slowly. "Then I'll wait," he said, "but I won't leave." The investigation. The city announced an audit. Anonymous complaints had been filed. Claims of favoritism, conflict of interest, misuse of funds. Victoria handed over every record without hesitation. Isaiah offered lawyers. She refused. "If I'm clean," she said, "I'll stay clean without protection." That scared him more than any headline. Weeks dragged on. Volunteers quit. Donations paused. Families panicked. One mother grabbed Victoria's hands, crying. "Please don't let them close this place," she begged. "My kids eat here." Victoria hugged her tightly. "I promise," she whispered, "I won't." The breaking point. Late one night, Victoria finally cracked. She sat on the steps outside the center, shoulders shaking. Isaiah found her there. "I never wanted this," she sobbed. "I just wanted to help people." He sat beside her, wrapping his coat around her. "You did," he said. "You still are." "What if they shut it down?" she asked. "What if I lose everything?" He took her hands, steady and warm. "Then we rebuild," he said, "together." She looked at him through tears. "You're not supposed to save me," she whispered. "I know," he replied. "I'm just supposed to stay." The hearing. The city hall chamber was packed. Press everywhere. Cameras flashing. Whispers buzzing. Victoria sat alone at the table. Isaiah sat in the audience. They weren't allowed to sit together. The lead investigator spoke first. "No evidence of financial misconduct," she said. A murmur rippled through the room. But concerns remain regarding influence. Victoria stood. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't cry. She simply told the truth. "I fed a hungry child when I was 9, she said, "not because I expected anything, but because he was hungry." She paused. "I didn't know his future," she continued. "I barely knew my own." She turned slightly, looking at Isaiah. "If kindness is a crime," she said, "then I'll plead guilty every time." Silence. Then, an elderly man stood up. "I was that boy once," he said, "hungry, forgotten, someone helped me too." Another voice joined. Then another. Teachers, parents, former kids from the center. Story after story. The room shifted. The truth comes out. The final blow came unexpectedly. A reporter uncovered the source of the anonymous complaints. A private developer. One who wanted the land. One who had already submitted plans for luxury apartments. The headlines flipped overnight. Community center targeted for profit. Audit CLEIS Director, City APOLOGIS. The hearing ended with a unanimous vote. The center would remain open. Fully funded. Protected. Victoria stepped outside into the sunlight, stunned. Isaiah was there instantly. He didn't say anything. He just held her. And this time, no one questioned it. The promise fulfilled. 6 months later, Isaiah stood on the same cracked sidewalk. The fence was gone now. replaced by a mural. A little black girl holding out a lunchbox. A little boy smiling through tears. At the bottom, painted in gold, one act of kindness can change a life. Victoria joined him, slipping her hand into his. You ready? She asked. He smiled nervously. More than I was at 9, he said. He dropped to one knee. Right there, in front of everyone. I said I'd marry you when I was rich, he said, but what I really meant was when I was worthy. Tears streamed down her face. Yes, she whispered. Yes. Epilogue. Years later, a little girl stood by the fence of a schoolyard. She held a sandwich. On the other side, a boy sat alone. She hesitated, then remembered a story her teacher told. She stepped forward. Eat this, she said. And somewhere, the world shifted again.